So in part 2, let's flip to the users and their diverse intents. The analysis suggests our motivations map onto these much broader human needs.
That's a crucial pivot to make. Users are not a monolith. They log on to fulfill a whole range of basic human needs. Sometimes they succeed, and sometimes they fail spectacularly.
The sources break this down into 6 categories of motivation, and they stress that these are fluid. You can be all of these in the span of 10 minutes.
Exactly. You shift between modes.
So let's start with the first one, the Identity Curators. This group is all about self-presentation and validation.
Yeah, their core project online is to construct and maintain a persona. They are performing a version of themselves, an aspirational self, really, that is optimized to get external approval. Their goal is to shape how people see them, to feel like they belong, and, crucially, to get that validation in the form of likes, shares, followers.
Which are basically just quantifiable proof of their social worth.
Pretty much. It's a performance where the audience's reaction determines your self-worth, and it connects right back to that social comparison trap we talked about. They feel this immense pressure to perform an idealized life, no matter how exhausting it is behind the scenes.
Right. Contrast that with the second group, the social participants. This feels like the original promise of these platforms.
It is. This is about replicating your existing offline relationships online. Their motivation is simple maintenance of social bonds. They use the platform as a utility to stay up to date with friends, family, colleagues.
So it's about reducing friction in communication.
Exactly. They are way less focused on validation from strangers and much more focused on simple connection. You'll often find them using private groups and direct messages more than the public feed.
Okay, then we have the Information Foragers. This role seems to have gotten incredibly complicated as platforms have sort of eaten the traditional news industry.
It's so complicated. Their motivation is to reduce uncertainty. They want to stay informed, they treat their feed as a news source, and they want to get that information fast. But here's the paradox that the sources point out.
The very platforms they're using for news are optimized for speed and engagement, not for accuracy.
Exactly. So this just accelerates the spread of misinformation, disinformation. It makes the knowledge they get really shallow, sometimes toxic, and ultimately it makes the uncertainty they were trying to solve even worse.
So they're stuck in a system that is fundamentally hostile to what they actually want. They want truth, but the architecture serves them profitable noise.
That's the trap. Now, let's talk about the people who are intentionally using the platform for work. The economic actors.
The creators, the entrepreneurs, the people building brands, the ones trying to monetize attention.
They see the platform as a workplace. Their motivation is to convert attention into money. They're engaged in what's become a totally legitimized form of digital labor. They are explicitly working to please the platform's metrics, maximizing views, optimizing for demographics, building a brand they can leverage.
They're the ones supplying the content that feeds the whole machine.
They are. Then we shift gears to a more emotional use of the platform with the escapists.
I think we've all been in this category.
Oh, absolutely. They're looking for entertainment, for distraction, for psychological relief. They're trying to regulate their emotions. They're bored, they're stressed, they're anxious, so they turn to the feed for a quick brain break.
And the key observation here is that social media kind of inherited this role from TV, but it wasn't really designed for it.
Right. And because it's optimized for addiction, not just entertainment, it provides this temporary relief, but often reinforces the cycle of compulsive use. You scroll to feel better, but you end up feeling worse an hour later.
I know. I definitely fall into that mode on a Friday afternoon. The second I feel my energy dip, my thumb just instinctively goes for the app icon. I'm not looking for connection, just pure mindless distraction.
That is the intended reflex. And finally, we have this massive, but mostly silent group, the observers.
The passive consumers.
Yes. Their motivation is to experience everything without actually participating in the performance. They consume a huge amount of content, they watch the curators, they scroll through the news, they enjoy the escapist stuff, but they rarely create, comment, or share.
The source material calls this a silent social existence.
It's a great phrase. They provide the raw attention, the raw data that fuels the entire system, but you almost never see them in the public feed.
And what's so important for you listening to this to remember is that you are probably all 6 of these people. It just depends on the time of day, how you're feeling, which app you open. These are fluid psychological states, not fixed identities.
And understanding that distinction is the first step toward using these platforms more intentionally. It helps you shift from saying, ugh, I'm wasting time on Instagram, to asking, okay, I'm currently using this in an escapist mode. maybe I should be using it as a social participant instead.
That's a really powerful way to frame it.
Hmm.
Okay, so now let's slip the perspective again. We've seen the complex motivations of the users, but in part 3, we have to ask, what do the platforms want?